Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Barefoot Conversations with Magdalene. How are you all doing? How has your week been? How are things with you? How is everybody? Good morning to you. This is Magdalene Adenike, and I am an entrepreneur with two businesses. The first one is me as a chief executive and founder of Music Relief Foundation. We work with young people to unleash their creative spirits using music and the arts, the performing arts, as a source of therapy, therapy to unleash their creative spirit, like I already said. And also Magdalene, the transformation expert, working with women who are struggling to find their purpose and life, helping them to identify, to connect or reconnect with their purpose in order for them to live a fulfilled life. So what are we talking about today? Before I go to today's topic, I want to quickly touch briefly on last week's topic. Last week's topic, it kind of hits a nerve in some people, and it's the bottom line that it caused the reaction. I got lots of feedback from last week's topic. Some good and some I was like, you need to check, actually listen to the content before you start judging, because some people, you know that saying that says don't judge a book by its cover, actually read the book. And so that's what I'm talking about here. Last week's topic was talking about makeup. Is makeup the root of all evil? And many people have got so many wonderful feedback. And for those of you who are listening or will listen into this this video recording today, I want to say thank you so much for your wonderful comments. I really do appreciate them, and please do keep them coming, because that's what gives me the fuel to go on. And for those who are like, anyways, like I said, don't judge a book by its cover. Read the book. Read the book first before you make your own conclusion. Don't use someone else's conclusion to come up with your conclusion. Actually read the book. So what I mean by that is actually listen to last week's program and then make your own conclusion. And I kept emphasizing all through last week's program that I am not there bashing makeup. So makeup was not the thing I was bashing. If you actually listen to it, you know that I wasn't actually bashing makeup. Anyways, that's enough of last week's show. Today is kind of like a little branch, like a sublet from last week's show. I'm talking about low self-esteem. What is it? Does it have a face? So that's what I'm talking about. Because if you look at last week's show, I was talking about makeup, people using makeup as some form of a mask to cover up so many different issues. And so today I'm talking about low self-esteem, and one of those things that causes some certain people, either adults or young children, to use the amount of makeup that some people use. Some of it, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes it might be because of low self-esteem. So what is low self-esteem? When somebody says they have low self-esteem, or you identify that you have some form of low self-esteem within you, what is, when they talk about low self-esteem, we keep using that word all the time, low self-esteem, low self-esteem. What is low self-esteem? And so that's what I wanted to find out. I wanted to find out what exactly, so that we can actually tackle this at the roots of the matter, not just talk about it and say, oh, low self-esteem, because everybody's saying it and we're just going to jump in the bandwagon and say it as well. Low self-esteem is obviously when you don't have the confidence within yourself to do something, to go ahead and push yourself to be at the forefront to do something. Low self-esteem when you feel, when you look down on yourself and you feel that you're not good enough, and you feel that there is nothing good comes out from you, and you can never amount to anything great in life. Low self-esteem is when the individual feels that he or she is not worthy. That's a very strong word, but I'm going to use it. It's not worthy to be even alive in the first place, because they feel that they are not offering anything tangible to humanity. And we can go on and on and on in such a way. So my question is, what will cause a person to look at themselves and feel that they are not worthy? What will cause a person to look at themselves and feel that they are no good? What will cause a person to feel that the best thing that they could do to anybody else, for their families and for the community and society that they're around, is for them to die? That is a very, very, very strong feeling, emotions. What would cause that person to do that? When we're born, when a child is born, a newborn baby is born today, he or she doesn't have any understanding of whether there's danger or there is no danger, whether there is confidence or no confidence. That baby doesn't have that. That baby is just there, and that baby feels that he or she can do anything, especially when they begin to crawl. And so they are a bit more mobile now. They can go to the bottom, they can go to the top of the stairs and try to see how they can maneuver themselves down the stairs. They don't have fear to feel that, oh, if I try to do this, I'm going to hurt myself. That fear is not there. A newborn baby can see fire, and because of that glowing light, the colors that are coming from that, they're attracted to it. They don't have that understanding that if you put your hand in fire, you're going to get burnt. And it's very painful. They don't have that understanding. So where do we as individuals inherit low self-esteem from? Where does it come from? I would love to know, where does it come from? How can an individual go through a time in their life and feel that they can never, ever have anything good to offer somebody else, so the best thing they could possibly do is to take their own life? That is so, it's not, pitiful is not the right word, it's scary. That is very, very scary. So I began to research, and I was looking at the causes of low self-esteem. And this is what I got. It says, the beliefs you have about yourself often appear to be a statement of fact, although actually they are really only opinions. That's a key word, they're opinions. So I'm going to come back to that. They are based on the experiences you've had in life. The experiences you've had in life. So just a few seconds ago, I talked about a baby, a newborn baby not having an understanding of what danger is, a newborn baby not having an understanding of what the barriers that we set in life. You don't go here, you don't do this, because if you do this, there's consequences. So, you know, those kind of barriers I'm talking about. A newborn baby doesn't have that. So how is it then that according to this definition here, so the causes of low self-esteem is based on the experiences they've had in life. So at what point then will a newborn baby begin to experience certain things in his or her life that would then begin to cause them to have that development of a low self-esteem or great self-esteem? Those are questions we really need to ask ourselves, because when you come from that state of innocence and that stage of being able to do anything without any hesitation, to a place of you are always cautious, always fearful. I can't do this. We shouldn't do this. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. What happens? What transpires in that? What transpires in that process of time? What happens that causes you from being a carefree individual to being a direct opposite of yourself? And then when you come to that place of being a direct opposite of yourself, that individual begins to kind of withdraw within themselves, that they can't, if someone wants to say boo to them, it's like, oh, they would literally jump out of their skin. What happens? What happens at that time? What happens? How did you get to that place? Low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. That you don't feel you're worthy. You don't feel you have a voice to speak. And so you grow up and everybody's always stepping on you because you can't stand up for yourself. There's one thing to stand up for yourself, but there's another thing. There's another thing to say, you know what, you become arrogant and you become cocky and you become very boastful. Those are two different things. We're not talking about standing up for yourself. Knowing that you have a voice, and yes, your voice does matter. That's what I'm talking about. But you know that you can't come about it in a negative manner. You must know how to approach things in a positive manner that makes it conducive for everybody. Low self-esteem. Let me continue reading. It says, they are based on the experiences you've had in life and the messages that these experiences have given you about the kind of person you are. If your experiences have been negative, I've talked about that already, your beliefs about yourself are likely to be negative as well. Going back to that same child again. The child begins to get to the place of understanding, and he or she hears a parent saying to him or her, you are no good, you can't even do this right, look at you. You know this kind of negativity. They're growing up around a lot of negativity. You're too fat. That's a very typical example. You're too fat. Don't even try to go there. Don't even try to look at those clothes. You would rip it. Oh my God, look at Mr. Blubber coming or Mrs. Blubber coming. Oh my God, as you walked in, the whole house was trembling. You know, we may think those things are funny, but they're not funny, because When a person keeps hearing such statements over and over and over again, guess what? What happens to that individual? It begins to knock their confidence level down. When you say to a child, you're too fat, don't even try to bother dress like that because people are just going to run away from you. You look like Mr. Blobby or something. What do you think happens to that child when he keeps hearing it? And they're hearing it from the same people who are meant to be the ones to protect them, who are meant to be the ones to guide them and show them the best example. And these are the people that are putting them down. How do you expect that child to feel? Or another example, when a parent says, like an example I used about my mentee last week, when a parent says to a child, you're too ugly. How can you look at your child and say you're too ugly? That child, when you tell that child you're too ugly, basically what you're trying to say, that's how I'm laughing. You're saying to yourself you're ugly because that child had to look like somebody. The child had to look, because it's the mother and the father's gene that came together to produce that child. So that child had to look like somebody. So you tell a child you're too ugly, you're basically reflecting your own low self-esteem because you know you're ugly onto your child, because that's the only way I can actually convey that message. Or when you say to a person, the child has worked so hard and they didn't do their best, but you could see and they have put in all the effort. And the child comes on, mommy, daddy, oh, they're really excited. Instead of you to take that paper and go, oh, okay, this is good. The first thing the parent does is to knock down, identify the negative aspects of things and begin to highlight those negative aspects and say, why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that? Instead of looking at the good things they've done, let's praise those ones first and celebrate those ones and help to motivate that child's spirit, so that the spirit that is already high will continue. So that child, next time, the child will say, you know what, let me try and push myself a bit further. What we tend to do, we tend to look at the negative aspect of things and we'll pull that child down and capitalize on those negativity without actually praising those good things. So say, out of 10 things, maybe there's one thing that's good and the others are bad. Maybe the child comes home with their report and they got 1 out of 10. First thing, what happened to the other 9? Why couldn't you do this? Why couldn't you do that? Look at the sum, or look at this. Why didn't you do this? Why, you know, all those kind of things. Sometimes I have done this. I've been guilty of that as well. So I've had to check myself on that. Why didn't you do this? Why did you, you know, oh, wow, you did one. Okay, that's good. You know you want to explain, you know you want to say, why didn't you do this? Okay, that's good. Okay, so how come you got this right? You know, and you think, why did you get this one right? What was so easy about this one and you got this one and you didn't get the other ones? And you know, then you begin to build down from there, because that way, what you're trying to do, you're trying to keep the spirits up of that child, because bearing in mind that that child will grow up. And if that child's experience, I'm looking at what I've read already, I'm talking about the experiences of the child. I said if the experiences have been negative, if the experiences were negative, your beliefs about yourself are likely to be negative as well. So if that child grows up with negative experience, everybody around him or her is negative, and they just filling your mind with all manner of negativity. What happens to that child when they grow up and become an adult? That child becomes a negative person with a very, very low self-esteem, no sense of confidence within them. And obviously, wherever they go to, they share that negative spirit around them. They're not going to share a positive spirit. They're not going to share a cheerful spirit. They're going to share negativity, one of just anger. Don't know how to celebrate other people. We taught them how to be celebrated in life. Nobody taught them how to celebrate good things in their life. So because nobody taught them, they've never learned it. They begin to release all those negativities around them. And then you look at adults within the workplace, you see that adult now who have into the workplace and within the work setting. Within the work setting. So because they've not learned how to gain their own voice, they've not learned how to become their own and speak out for themselves. They've always, in one way or the other, been bullied as now they're adults. It seems like that bullying continues. It's almost like a glorified school ground, but it's in a work setting now. You have people who are and you know, you have those cliques. There's always some form of cliques. This is their cliques. This is their cliques. In one way or the other, they're all in clique. And so this same individual now finds him or herself always the outsider. And then because they've always been an outsider, for them, it's like them against me. That's how they've always seen it. And so they've learned to put this wall around them, and so they're not able to interact. So it always seems, like I said, that bullying trend continues. It always continues, because if you look at it, there is bullying. And I'm not trying to say that bullying doesn't exist. It does exist. But what I'm saying is sometimes because of a person's negative experience in life, when they get to a certain place, they're not able to speak out. They're not able to stand on their own 2 feet. It just seems like that sense of bullying continues around them, because until you face that bully head on and address that issue, that person will continue to have a voice over you. So that individual who is not able, or who feels they're not able to speak out, but rather would prefer to blend in, just blend in, and just, if the wall is magnolia, painted color magnolia, they just want to be that color and just be. They're very happy to be standing on their own in the corner of when there is a party taking place. They're the people at the corner. They don't know how to interact with other people. They just by themselves all the time. Join the group, but they just, because they feel like, oh, I don't have anything to say. They, that saying, like a church mouse, and they're so quiet in their little corner all the time. So in their head, they feel like everybody else is ganging up against them. But sometimes it's not the case, because of the fact that, come out of your shell, just speak to people. And also for others who are a bit more outgoing, we need to know how to interact with people. So it's a two-way thing. So low self-esteem can affect a person in such a manner that they feel that the world is against them. Low self-esteem can affect person, children. Pressure is a very dangerous thing if it's not well handled, because of the fact that many young people fall into so many things that they have no business going into, because they don't have a voice, because they were never trained to be able to speak out, not in an aggressive way, but to speak out and say, you know what, no thank you, I don't want, I'm not ready for this, or I'm not willing to partake in this. If you don't teach the children the right way, somebody outside would definitely teach them a way. Listen, if you don't teach the children the right way, somebody outside would definitely teach them a way. What way that is, I don't know. It could be right, but unfortunately, most of the time, it's a negative way. So when you look at peer pressure, when children are being pressured to do things, or if you want to be my friend, then you have to do this, or why don't you take this? They go to the shop, just take it. No one's watching, there's no camera, take it. Just take it, just take it. Why should I take it? I didn't pay for it. It's not mine, it's stealing. But everybody's doing it, and so what? If everybody is doing it, and so what? That doesn't ring true for me. If everybody is doing it, does that mean I must do it? Everybody is wearing this style of clothing, so I must wear this style of clothing. I don't have a say. We need to begin to teach our children, because I keep saying this and I won't stop saying it. They are our leaders of tomorrow. If we don't teach them right today, what are they going to lead tomorrow, and how will they lead us tomorrow? Those are the things that we always must remember at the back of our heads at all times. Low self-esteem doesn't have a face. That's a question I've given out there. I placed out there. It does not have a face. It comes in different phases, in different shapes and sizes. I could be here talking to you and pretending, and you're looking at me thinking, wow, she's so confident, or she appears so confident, and she's just speaking and she's just really talking her mind. But how do you know I'm not putting up a bravado for you? How do you know that I'm not putting up a bravado just to appear to be confident? Then when you actually meet me on a one-to-one, it's like I can't even look at you in the eye. You're talking to me, and my head's bowed, head down, and I'm just like, yeah, you're saying something to me, and I'm responding with my head down. Not because I'm trying to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. It's just because I don't have the confidence enough to look at you in the eye. You don't know that, so it doesn't have a face. Some people hide it so well. Some people hide it behind alcohol. Some people hide it behind sex because they feel that when they're having sex with this or several people, then eventually one of the several people or several of all the several people will fall in love with them. Some people hide it behind makeup because they feel they're not pretty enough. So they need to apply a truckload of makeup, remember I said that last week, onto their face in order for them to appear pretty and to fit in. Some people hide it behind drugs. And they take drugs just for them to get to a place of being high, so that way they're able to really express themselves and really say what it is that's on their minds. Some people hide it behind shopping. They become shopping addicts. They spend money like as if there's no tomorrow. They spend the money they don't even have. They just keep spending and spending and spending because they want to buy the latest clothes. They want to buy the latest shoes. They want to, they just want to be seen as being trendy at all times, spending money they don't have. So low self-esteem has no face. It has no face whatsoever because it comes in different phases. It comes in different shapes. It comes in different sizes. So now the next question to look at now, bearing in mind that my time is well spent, how do we deal with low self-esteem? Once you've identified that you have low self-esteem because of those negative experiences you've had in your life, you've grown up being told that you're no good, you can never amount to anything good in life. You've grown up being told that you should never even try because you will always fail. You've grown up being told that nobody's ever celebrated your small victories. They've always put you down and capitalized on those things that you got wrong. Now that you've identified that you have that low self-esteem, and it has become a deterrent in your life because it has stopped you from going for greater things. When you know that you can go for greater things, but in a sense, because you feel that you're never going to be able to achieve it, you've just kind of limited yourself and settled for less. What do you do now? Once you've identified it, what do you do? What are those things that you can begin to do now in order for you to go beyond this stage in your life? Because you can find that low self-esteem and lack of confidence can become a barrier around you because it becomes a hindrance. Remember I said it becomes a deterrent. It hinders you from going forward. What do you do now? What do you do? The first thing is, obviously you have to be true to yourself. You really have to be true to yourself. This is my opinions. You may have yours, but I'm just going to give you my opinions. For me, I believe that you have to be true to yourself. You have to really sit down and ask yourself some deep heart questions. As in, one, you look at yourself. What are your abilities? What can you really do? Are you really good at anything? Because people have told you don't bother to try, that you're not good at anything. So you need to ask yourself, are you really good at, are you really not good at anything? Sorry, are you really not good at anything? Or do you have one thing that you are good at? Ask yourself that question. Once you found once you've answered yourself, what is that one thing? And you've identified that one thing. You may find that you have several things. You may not be the expert in that thing, but you know that you're good at it. At least you know, at least some people have told you that yes, you are good at this thing. Several people have actually commented, actually, you're good at this thing. Okay, you've identified that being several things, whatever it may be. What can you do now? How can you begin to develop yourself in those things so that way you can begin to help yourself and build your confidence and your self-esteem up again? That's the next thing you need to start asking yourself. How can you do so? So now, me as a musician, I always use myself as an example. You know that I always like to do that. I'm a singer-songwriter. My voice is my tool. I've always been singing, I've said this before, always been singing in the church until finally I stepped into the studio in 2005. when I started, my first time in 2005 when I started to record. I remember my first recording, and my producer played the track back, and I heard myself. I was like, ugh, because I was like, oh my God, who's that? Because remember, I've always been singing in the church, and we were like, yeah, but I've never gone into the studio. That's a totally different ball game. And I heard myself. I was like, no. And so they began to tell me that I needed to go do voice training. So automatically I was hearing that I needed to go and do voice training. But that's what they were saying to me, not in a bad way, just to fine tune the voice. You have the voice, let's work on it to really bring it out and perfect it. But what I was hearing was that, oh, your voice is nonsense, it's so rubbish, you're not good. Don't even bother. That's what I was hearing. And so as a result of that, what I was hearing, not what they were saying, what I was hearing, as a result of that, I began to withdraw. I didn't want to go to the studio anymore. I was now making excuses. In as much as I was paying for my studio time, I was making excuses not to come. And when I did go to the studio, I was always encouraging the producer to put so many auto cues on it to kind of make the voice sound a bit better, you know. Just being lazy, trying to find the lazy way out instead of actually pushing myself. But eventually, when I started going to the voice training, I went to several voice training. I would go for my lessons, but I wasn't applying it at home. So I would go for the lessons, doing everything. But when I got back home, I wasn't applying, and I kept doing that. It was a vicious circle. That's why I said to you, I went to several voice trainers, because I would come back to the lesson the next week, and it seemed like as if it was starting afresh again. And each one would be like, Magdalene, what's going on? I want you. Until eventually I had to say to myself, you know what, you're wasting money. You need to. So this is me having those deep-rooted, hard questions with myself. What's the point of you going? This is me asking myself, what's the point of you going for all these lessons if you're not applying it? If you're not actually doing anything when you get home? They teach you, yes, when you go there, but you need to apply it when you get home. So that way, by the time you get back next week, you're prepared. And you've moved at least one stage further. So until I did that to myself, I was just going around in a merry-go-round. I kept going around in a merry-go-round until eventually I met a person who was my match. He was my match, and he was like, Magdalene, I'm not taking this nonsense from you. We became so close. People at one point thought, what's going on with the two of you? But we're just friends. But we became so close. And he really pushed me, and I began to get it. So I got that Albert Einstein thing, Eureka. That was in 2006/2007. I was like, wow, now I get it. So it took me almost 2 years of wasting of time, money, effort, energy. 2 years. Some of you listening out there, you could have been, you're like me, you've wasted 2 years, you've wasted 2 months, you've wasted 10 years, I don't know. But you need to get to that point and sit down, and begin to ask yourself some questions. You can't go around the bushes. You have to really ask yourself some hard-rooted questions and say, you know what, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Guy, let's have a conversation. Talk to yourself. It's vital. It's so important. Sometimes you've got so many things in your head and you feel as if your head is going to explode. Say it out. You may be looking for somebody to talk to and you don't have that person. Just talk to yourself. Sit in front of the mirror and have a good conversation. Trust me, I do that all the time and I feel so much better for it afterwards. Talk to yourself so that way you don't continue in this vicious circle. This is the first Tuesday of September. We've got October, November, December. 3 months left, and this year's coming to an end. As I come to the end of Barefoot Conversations today, I want to say to you there, my listeners, do not let another day go by. Do not let another day go by and be wasted and see you going around and around and around in a merry-go-round. Life is too precious for that. You could be living, but you're not. You're in a little cocoon that you've built around yourself as a form of shields to protect you. It's time to set yourself free and break that cocoon and say, you know what? I'm here to stay. This is me. You either like it or you loathe it. I don't care. And that's the attitude that I have taken over the years, not in an arrogant way. You either like Magdalene or you don't like Magdalene. Either ways, it doesn't do anything for me. But I want to encourage you who is still suffering with low self-esteem as a result of those negative experiences you had whilst growing up at a young age. It's time to sit down and speak to yourself. Stop listening to everybody else. Lock off everybody from your life. Just lock them off and just have that conversation or those series of conversations with yourself. Identify that one thing you are good at, that somebody, if it's one person, 2 people, 3 people, 10 people have said to you that you are good at this. Identify that thing, build on that thing, capitalize on that thing, and grow from there. Grow from there. Remember I talked about a forest last week. I said a tree does not make a forest. One tree does not make a forest. You have to plant several trees, thousands and thousands of trees, for you to then say that this is a forest. So start with that one tree. Start with that one tree and build that tree. Make that tree to become the best tree ever. Gain your voice from that one tree and then begin to branch out. That's what I'm trying to say to you. And begin to spread out. Spread out like wildfire. Let the world know that you are here to stay. Like the words of that song that says, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. So until next time, God willing, I'm going to take my bow here and I'm going to say to you, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, the same way it was instilled into a child, the same way we can uninstill it from that person, from that child. It's a process. A person doesn't just get low self-esteem in one day. It's a process of time. So remember, anything you're doing, give it time. It's a process. Everything is time. I've spoken a lot and I still hadn't been able to touch at so many points I really wanted to touch at, but I'm going to end it here. I want to say to you, listen to this video over and over and over again. Share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, spread the love, give me your feedback. I would love to hear from you guys. You guys have been so wonderful to me. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. Until next time, have a great day. Bye for now.